Hello guys, this is my second interview with our fellow YouTuber Michael, better known as Emperor Michael. Today we're gonna have a nice chat about boxing as well as this weekend's fight, as well as other things going on in boxing. Anyways, Michael, you good? How are you? How are things?
I'm alright, things going well. How are you, Yemi?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Just had a night in a day my last day at work before the new year, so can't complain. So I'm off now till Tuesday.
Good to hear.
I was just thinking now, so this weekend, what's his name? Lewis Ortiz fighting what's his name? Charles Martin. So what do you think of that fight? And how do you see that going?
Yeah, I think it's an okay fight. Um, it's definitely not pay-per-view. They're gonna charge for it, so they've put it on pay-per-view.
Yeah, the
But I
thing I
think it's
don't
an
get, Al
okay.
Haymon was meant to be a
Go
very
on.
smart businessman. Why is he put on these fights on pay-per-view? Why is he putting that, Lewis Ortiz with Charles Martin? They're pretty much two nobodies. Yeah, one's a former champion, one of the worst champions in history. And Lewis Ortiz is not still not a pay-per-view star. So why charging pay-per-view for two nobodies fight? You're not fighting for a title.
Well, your guess is as good as mine, but my answer would be I think Al Heyman isn't. I think Al Heyman is an intelligent person, but sometimes people in boxing they make bad decisions, and I don't know, ego, greed. So I think they're just trying to squeeze as much money as they can out of it. But yeah, it's definitely not a pay-per-view fight, as you say. They're not. Both of them are best known for getting knocked out. Martin got knocked out by Joshua, and Ortiz got knocked out by Wilder. And obviously everyone talks about how old Ortiz is. So listen, I'm not paying for it. I'm just gonna wait, watch it
Is it gonna
on
cost
YouTube
$80?
for free.
That's the price to charge for American pay-per-views. So because $80 is
I
it $50?
I
Because
believe so. I believe, yeah, I think Eddie Hearn said before, like some of these pay-per-view, they're $80. And I mean, look, to me, to you, or to anyone, like $80 is a lot of money. Like I wouldn't pay $80 to watch a couple of old guys fight. And I'm not, it's just greed.
yeah,
And that's the
absolutely.
problem with boxing, that's the problem.
Okay. Anyways, I'll watch it, but I won't. For legal reasons, I won't say if I'll pay for it or I might watch it at a friend's house, but I'll watch it. Just for the sake of Saturday entertainment. Speaking of that, I've heard. I'm not too sure you heard. I've heard Thingy's been cancelled. The Tony Yoka versus Martin Bakoli fight. I've heard that's been cancelled. I think because of the COVID restrictions in France, they're stopping people from traveling there because of the new restrictions. Have you heard about that? Any news about regarding that fight?
Oh yeah, I heard about it. I messaged the trainer the other day, uh, Billy. I messaged the Coley's trainer, and yeah, I don't believe it's been cancelled. What he's saying is it's been rescheduled because in
Okay.
France you can't fill some of these venues. You can't go above a certain amount of people. So yeah, they've rescheduled that fight, which yeah, it's a shame. I think it was a good fight.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely like to see what both fighters have got. Like, if Yoko's got it's the real deal, and if because the real deal, because they're both, especially Billy's is all hyped up like Martin because the second coming of Jesus Christ. I want to know if he can actually do something. Like because he's actually a force to be reckoned with. But hopefully we shall see. Hopefully it's been a bit scheduled and we shall see soon enough.
Yeah, we should see. Just to mention what you just said about Billy Nelson, but I just think this is one of the problems with boxing where people they get carried away with the things they say. Like I think Bakoli's a good fighter. He's capable of doing things, but he just his trainer does overhype him too much. So just let the fights speak for themselves. Do it in fights. But he's not the only trainer. A lot of trainers talk about it. Oh, what my fighter's been doing in the gym, this and that, this and that. But it's not. It's what happens in a fight because obviously the opponent's punching you back. You know, um, and yeah, I don't care how many push-ups you can do and all the rest of it. It's what happens when you're actually in there. Someone's fighting back. So I just
Yeah,
think a lot of
absolutely, absolutely. It's all about the
you
rings, it's all about what you can do under the spotlights. Forget the sparring is good enough. Gym's pretty important, but at the end of the day, it's what you can do in the ring and what you bring into the table as far as the fight goes.
yeah.
In terms of that, also the fight I'm looking forward to just fight as far as January goes is Karen Johnson versus Joe Smith Jr. Because I think that's going to be explosive. I can't see that fight going the distance because they're both very powerful punchers. Carl
Yeah, but
Johnson, especially Carl
who do you think is
Johnson.
going to win? Yeah, sorry,
Um,
jumped in. Who do you think is going to win that?
the thing is though, I don't rate Joe Smith Jr. that well because he's a decent fighter, but I don't see him as elite. Arguably probably the weakest champion at like heavyweights. If Johnson's got something left and he can connect with Johnson, I think he knocks Smith out. If he's not past it and he can connect smoothly, I think he can knock out Joe Smith Jr. But you never know. Carl Johnson's been inactive, for the past couple of years and hasn't fought anybody since Better Be Here. So, Johnson Smith, it's probably either Smith on point or Johnson by knockout. Those are the ways I see the fight going. What about yourself?
Um, I'll be honest, I can't really give an answer because I don't know a lot about Joe Smith Jr.
Oh,
I mean, all
okay.
I know, obviously, I saw when he fought Hopkins, that he
Yes.
knocked poor Hopkins out of the
Yes.
ring.
Yeah, 50-year-old, yeah, 50 Nation Hopkins out of the ring.
Well, it's just for Hopkins, that was just one fight too many. But yeah, I'll be honest, yeah, I can't give an answer. I don't know a lot about Joe Smith Jr., but yeah, it's probably going to be a good fight when it's sort of two high level fighters. So it should be a good fight, but
I
I
would
don't know
love it.
enough to.
It would be good to see, especially with British boxing fans, if Johnson, pulls up at the habit and beats Joe Smith Jr. Because I think he was treated poorly by Eddie. I think lost Better Be if he was treated poorly. He wasn't getting any fights. He wasn't active. Apparently, Eddie, it was Joe Gallagher's fault, but still, you're his promoter. You should be helping getting his fights. Because if you think about it, I don't think he had a fight for like almost 2 years when he was with Eddie after he lost Better Be because that's some of his issues with Gallagher. A lot of Gallagher's fighters were inactive under when they were promoted Eddie Hearn. So it'd be nice, to get his award title because I thought he was just treated poorly by Hearn. What do you think? When he was with Eddie Hearn?
Yeah, I completely agree. And this is one of the problems in boxing where I mentioned it when we last spoke. Eddie Hearn's not your friend; he's not your mate, and but it's just sad to see because, like, let's just say you and me fell out. I don't think we will, but let's just say we did. That's okay because you can go do your YouTube channel, I'll do mine. But I don't think we're ever going to fall out. But I've got a big problem with Eddie Hearn because when he falls out with people, as happened in this case, but the problem is though, you're putting people's lives on hold. It's like you're messing up because like if you wanted to go off and do your own channel, and that's what I want you to do. You don't need me. I'm not saying this to try and sound nice or polite, but you don't need me. You can just message people on social media, build up a name, and if you can become bigger than me, I'm not scared of competition. I want people to become big. So yeah, you go do your thing. But the problem in boxing, there's a reason I'm talking like this. If people sort of don't like you or for whatever reason, they can do things to hold you back. And that's what's happening in this sort of situation. I know Eddie and Joe Gallagher sort of fell out for a while, and it's a shame that the fighters have to suffer. So it's very sad to see. Like to not fight for 2 years, if it was 2 weeks or 2 months, it's okay. But 2 years, like you're
Yeah,
messing up a guy's life.
yeah, he's making it mess. He's a prime years as well. Callum Law lost at least 2, 3 years at his prime now. 'Cause he's not a young man, like 36, almost 37 now. So I think Johnson was a good fight. I think he could have been a world champion, but again, he just fortunately a lot of years wasted on the Eddie Hearn. He wasn't active enough. He was missing some great opportunity. He should have fought Joseph Buatsi as well. I don't know why Eddie never fought Paul. I know probably Eddie he felt like Buatsi was too young and too dear to put him against a risky fight like Johnson, but that would be an easy fight to make. Buatsi versus Karen Johnson, but again. Eddie, man, unless you're making him money or you kiss his ass, Eddie is not going to promote you well. He's not going to, he's not going to get you in the fights. He's going to keep you inactive. So that's unfortunately, that's just the way he is. You have to kiss his ass, or you have to, be a cash cow, or else Eddie's not going to, make use of your skill set.
Yeah, you're intelligent to realize that, and it's a sad part of boxing, and I just hope fighters can understand that. these promoters are not your friends. They're just there to use you, and if they think they can use you, they will, and if they don't, I mean, he could have made what you said. Yeah, he could have made the Buatsi fight, but he just didn't really want to. I think Johnson's a very dangerous fight for Buatsi, and you saw what happened with Anthony Yards. He lost to Lyndon Arthur in the first fight, and that's just the reality of boxing. Johnson's capable of knocking out Buatsi. Obviously, yeah, Buatsi is a good fighter, but I'm trying to think of a knockout lot. What's been a real shock? Dylan White versus Povetkin. And Buatsi is not as experienced as Dylan White. So, if Povetkin could knock him out in a fight that Dylan White was winning, to be fair, Callum Johnson can knock Buatsi. So it's a dangerous fight. And, but that's the problem with boxing. Like, we're not seeing these sort of fights happen. I would love to have seen that fight.
Yeah, and do you think since Callum Smith has moved up to 175, do you reckon Eddie would take a risk and put him against Callum Smith, Buatsi? Or do you reckon Eddie
Probably
would
not.
put Buatsi versus Bivol next for the title?
I don't think he'll put in. I don't think he's going to put Buatsi in with Callum Smith. Callum Smith punches very hard. Did you see what he did in his last fight?
Yeah, he put that guy into a literal coma. It was that cold for 3 minutes. Absolutely. I was very happy he recovered because that was a brutal knockout. That's one of the knockouts of the year.
Well, listen, I'm glad he recovered. I just think, look, boxing's a dangerous sport, and it's the same for me. Like, look, it's a catch-22. I want to knock people out, but obviously I don't want to seriously hurt anyone, and I don't want anyone to but I don't punch as hard as Callum Smith anyway. Look, it's exciting watching knockouts, but obviously, we don't want to. I don't want to see these people end up in comas or anything. And Callum Smith's a hard puncher. He's a dangerous fight. So no, yeah, I don't think Eddie's gonna want him to sort of fight Watsy. Eddie tries to. He likes it when you've got an Olympic medal because you're more marketable. You've got more of a
Yeah,
storyline.
absolutely.
And we
Absolutely.
saw what happened.
Eddie likes it when you've got a fan base already. That's why Eddie is a big he's very keen on that what's that guy from Wanford, John is it Johnny Fisher.
No, no, in Romford.
Yeah, yeah. Eddie likes that type of fight. The guys have really got a fan base behind him.
Money. Johnny Fisher sells a lot of tickets.
Yeah, definitely. So if you like a Johnny Fisher or Ebony Bridges, if you got a fan base behind you, Eddie's the right promoter because Eddie knows how to promote fighters who've really got established fan bases. If you're nobody, if you're not the best talker either as well, then Eddie's not the right. And Eddie can't promote fighters who don't talk for themselves. Who are not good talkers.
Yeah, he doesn't have the same interests because someone like a Johnny Fisher sells a lot of tickets. So, it's a lot of money going to Eddie's pocket. So if you can do numbers, he'll take interest, he'll show respect.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, he'll look at is this person worth my time or not, which it's the reality of boxing, but it's not a nice way to treat people.
If you
I
know,
wouldn't do that.
a lot of boxers with Eddie that's now signed with Box at Sky, like Huey Fury and Natasha Jonas and Lewis Whitson as well. These are not big talkers as well. So these fighters have massive fan bases supporting them. So Eddie doesn't care about if you're not making him money, or if you're not good talker, you're not good at hyping yourself, then you'll put you at the back burner. But if you're a talker or you got a fan base like Johnny, like people like ABD Bridges, Josh Robinson, as well as Johnny Fisher, then Eddie's good at promoting you because Eddie's a good promoter. Just that he only tolerates you if you're making the money just like instantly. If you're making the money, it's like any promo.
No, he's a good promoter. You can't deny that. But as I say, he picks and chooses who he wants to take interest in. So obviously, a lot of these people have gone over to Sky Sports Box Up but yeah, I do the same thing. Because if you're mugging me off, if you're not, like what happened to Callum Johnson, like it wouldn't happen to me because I'm not going to sit around for 2 years. And I mean, if I think you're not taking interest in me or you're mugging me off, then yeah, I jump ship as well. You got to do what's best for your career. And as I said, Eddie Hearn's not your mate. Like I said, I first met Eddie Hearn July 2010, around about then. I've known him for over 10 years. We're not mates. Like, you've never called me on the phone. We don't go out for dinner.
Yeah.
So, we're not mates. So,
Because I
and I say this
guarantee,
is,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah, go
I was
on.
saying, I guarantee Carl Smith would probably have left Eddie if Carl Smith have a title for Canelo to win. Then Carl Smith probably be like Johnson, probably be at the back burner. One of those fighters that's you don't talk about, you don't really hear about, and probably just waiting for the next fight. Because Carl Smith
You
doesn't have a
know,
big fan base either, and he doesn't talk either. He's not a talker, so he's not Eddie's cup of tea. He's only there with Eddie because of he was a champion at the time, had the world title, so he had use. Eddie could make money with him, especially when he fought Canelo.
well, look, have you noticed the way Eddie tries to jump all over Canelo?
Yeah, because Canelo's a cash cow, is the biggest time boxing. You know, and probably maybe deep down he thinks AJ will probably lose against Usyk. So when Usyk, if Eddie, if Joshua loses again, then that's his cash cow potentially ruined. So just thinking about the next step.
Well, but it's just the nature of the beast. It's just how boxing is. And my advice to boxers is just see boxing for what it is. Come in boxing, do what you need to do, make your money, and get out of boxing with your brains intact.
Any,
But
any
be careful.
boxer, if I was a manager, I'd advise every boxer to be like to get a promoter that's good at promoting you. Once you make a name for yourself, become freelance, become like a Floyd Mayweather or Canelo Alvarez, become a freelance agent when you have enough power to make your own fights at your own terms. That would be my advice as a manager. But unfortunately, most fighters are not good businessmen, and most fighters are not good talkers, and don't have that fan bases behind it. But ideally, every boxer should have like a career like Mayweather or Canelo. Like that can control their own careers, have a big fan base that'll support them regardless of who they're with. They can get fights with all promoters because they're bringing the money to allow them to do so.
No, I agree, but I just obviously a lot of people, a lot of fighters don't look at it like that.
Yeah, definitely. And again, most fighters are not busy savvy, not good talkers, they're not the best who negotiations. They don't have the skill set to do so. But that would just be my example. Again, that problem like most fighters don't have that business savviness to do that type of make those type of moves.
Okay, but I'll give you a situation. There's not a lot of common sense in boxing. So have you looked at what's going on with Dylan White, Tyson Fury?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Eddie. Why it was 10 million was, and but the thing that I think what it was, what's his name? Frank and Bob offered him 5 million for the fight.
Yeah, but I'd say common sense. If I was in Dylan White's position, take the fight. Take 5 million's enough. But obviously he
Yeah,
doesn't
definitely. And you'll
want
probably make at least 20 million a week. If you pull off a miracle and
to
beat Fury, you're
do
gonna
it.
get at least 20 million in a rematch. You're gonna be the best heavyweight in the world, and you can have all the balls in all the chips in your table. So I'll definitely do it. And 5 million is still a lot of money. Has White really made more than that money in his career? Because apparently the last purse was 300 grand. So has he actually made the 5 million in his career? So 10 million, that's above his pay grade. Because Eddie's hasn't paid him 10 million against has he paid 10 million against Parker or Povetkin or Chisel? I doubt White's seen that type of money before. So 5 million is good enough, especially get a fight against Fury. So I don't see it's a win-win for him. He gets paid a lot of money and gets his world title, which he's been waiting for over 3 years to get. So I can't see what he's complaining about.
No, look, I don't think he's made 5 million before for a single fight. So it's going to be your biggest purse. In terms of what he made in his last fight, it's going to be like well over 10 times what you made in your last fight. So I think I mentioned this before. I don't think Dylan White's scared of him, but I just think he's being greedy, stubborn. I don't know what advice he's getting. And I'm going to make a very good point, which a lot of people don't sort of pick up on. You never hear teams speaking against their fighter. As far as, I'm not saying it never happens, but you never hear them contradict what their fighter says. Whereas if I was in his team, I'd openly speak against him. I'd just say, I think take the fight. If you don't like it, fire me. But the people in boxing are part of problem because no one's. I don't hear his team members. You're not giving them a reality check. Okay, it's like me. Yeah? In terms of what I'm trying to do, I'm fighting, and if I got like an Anthony Joshua interview or whoever, I'll just take whatever I can get. If you offer me a Zoom interview, I'll take it. If you say I can only talk to Joshua for 5 minutes, I'll take whatever you can offer me. I can't. I'm not BBC. I can't negotiate right now. As time goes on, I'm going to become bigger and bigger. And same with you. Then I can start saying, I want 30 minutes, I want an hour, or I want gym access. But right now, I'll just take whatever Matchroom are offering me in terms of the job that I'm doing. So I say, this is what I say to Dylan White. Just take it. If you believe in yourself, I actually give him a chance. I think he can win. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to put my money on Tyson Fury to win, but he can beat Fury. But as a person, this is a deep point, I think. Look, I think we all make mistakes in life. There's situations in life. I've had jobs that I've had job interviews I've not turned up for. I dropped out of college. I've made mistakes. And I think if Dylan White doesn't take this fight, I just think you're making a poor choice in life. This is the heavyweight championship of the world. I mean, imagine Muhammad Ali's, the fights there, yeah. You can fight Muhammad Ali and you say no. The chances, like imagine if Buster Douglas said, I'm not going to fight Mike Tyson for that money. Or imagine if someone said, who's the one that knocked out Lennox Lewis, Hassan Rahman? Yeah. Imagine if he said, listen, if Dylan White fights Tyson Fury, anything you can knock the guy out. I'm not saying I think you will, but you as a person, you should have that belief, I can knock him out. Just knock him out, and then you become the man.
Thing, this history repeating itself. Think about it. Didn't AJ offer the fighting back in, I guess, Ruiz, to White originally at Wembley for $5 million, but then White said that's too much, that's too little money. I was all happy with the rematch clause. He didn't want an immediate rematch. He beat AJ, and again, the thing is, White's been offered a title fight before, but somebody he always rejects it. The other thing is too good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Not good enough.
No. In my opinion, I don't know him on a personal level, and I could be wrong. I don't think he's scared of AJ or Fury.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think. I just think he's a bit too stubborn for his own good.
Yeah, in my opinion, I could be wrong. I'm not saying fighters don't fear fighters. Maybe sometimes they do. In his case, I don't think he's scared of these guys. He just thinks he's more valuable than he actually is. Because those are big fights. Even one of them's especially Fury White. For me, I think that's something I'd love to see. Dylan just thinks he's more important than he actually is, and also I'd say it to his face, like, I just think you're pricing yourself out. It's like, what's a good example? It's like, yeah, I just think it's like people watch all these YouTubers or Mayweather. Mayweather's a good example. Everyone's trying to be Mayweather, but Mayweather could do big numbers. I mean, you look at who he boxed early in his career, he was fighting everybody. And Mayweather, and this is the thing about Mayweather, but what people are missing, he became big when he beat Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah.
So this is what I say to Dylan, this is your Oscar De La Hoya. And forget boxing. It's like when you watch films. There was that film Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one, and there was that opportunity where Jack really fancied Elizabeth, and there was that moment. You had that moment to, you've been a hero. You had your moment to get the girl, and he missed the opportunity. And then Jack Sparrow told him, "You just missed your chance, mate." Like, this is what I'm saying. This is, forget boxing knowledge. In life, we all get opportunities, whether it's job, college, meeting the love of your life. And if you don't take this fight, to me, it's a bad choice you're making in life. And I should know I've made loads of mistakes in life. And I hope people don't think I'm trying to sound wise or important. I'm just telling you life. There's so much I would have done different if I could go back over my life. But mate, it's up to you, Dylan, but fight him. And if you don't fight him, well, people are turning on him now. He's getting a lot of negativity. And dude, I don't want to, I've got no more sympathy. I don't want to hear this, Dylan's darked him. He's not dark. Chance is there to fight him. Fury's not scared of you. You're not scared of Fury, but I've gone on long enough. If you don't fight him, that's your problem. You know,
Either way, it's gonna be a tough challenge because if he doesn't fight Fury for the title, Fury for Cage, he doesn't have to fight. Is it George Joyce or Deontay Wilder?
well, I don't know, but I just think there's a lot of dangerous fights out there. You know, if Dylan White fights people like Joyce, Tony Yoka, Bacoli,
Begovic.
any of these guys can knock him out. And well, it's up to you. You know, it's his life. But you know,
And
you,
again,
you
if he
remember
doesn't
when he
fight Fury, he'll fight Wilder and other ones like George for less money, far less money.
I don't know what advice does he get. Who's telling him this? I'll tell him to his face like you're messing up. I don't know.
You got I think you get in your career highest payday, and if you and it will be a sellout crowd. Probably be 80,000 if he does that. In is that, what's at the Cardiff arena or maybe 80,000 at Old Trafford. Man, it's a stadium fight, so high profile fight, biggest payday for your long awaited world title shot. So it's a win-win for you.
And I'll say a quick thing, but then I have the other point to mention. But Dylan White's never really look. I don't want to sound harsh. I'm not going to say he's beaten nobody. He's beaten some people, but he hasn't done what Anthony Joshua's done. Joshua's got an Olympic gold medal, and Joshua beat Klitschko. That was his moment of time. And then you got Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury's beaten Klitschko and Wilder. So this is what I say about Dylan White. But you haven't beaten anybody in the A League.
Yeah,
Yeah, you've beaten Povetkin here and
Ray
there.
was past it. Parker is probably a B, C level fighter, and White and Chisora C level fighter. So you haven't beat anyone of note in their prime. And so this is your gold opportunity. This is Oscar De La Hoya. This is a chance for you to be, the number one fighter in the division, one of the big players in the game.
Look, I respect all fighters, and I think the most polite way I can put it, I'd look at the ranking ABC. Look, Chisora's a good fighter, Parker's a good fighter, but Chisora's probably C level, Parker's probably B level. Yeah, you've beaten some guys, but you've not beaten A level. You know, you haven't beaten Klitschko, you haven't beaten Wilder, and this is your opportunity. So it's like if you imagine that fight, you're the one that mentioned Old Trafford, not me.
Mm.
So if you was to fight at Old Trafford, that is going to be a massive. When's the last time we had a massive? I'd say it's probably going to be bigger than Foch Groves potentially. Yeah, probably. I think
Yeah, if there's no
Fury's
lockdown restrictions, absolutely, yeah, you could sell out Wembley. That fight definitely.
if there's no lockdown, Fury is much more famous than Foch or Groves. So that fight's going to be nationally massive.
And
But I'm going to be repeating myself, but this is Dylan White's opportunity. You could become a massive. I'm not saying you guys are as good, but this is going to be like Lennox Lewis versus Frank Bruno. This is your opportunity. So, but sometimes, like if you look at history, Julius Caesar or Queen Elizabeth, Cleopatra, it's a history, and you're gonna chuck it away based on I want more money. Well, they're offering you money. Then there's pay per view as well. That's gonna do big numbers on pay per view. But which I've said enough. Like, don't take it. It's gonna be a massive mistake. And what happens? This is the last thing I'll say. What happens if you get knocked out by someone like Bacoli? You're gonna like you got knocked out by Povetkin. Like
yeah,
you're gonna look back on it with regret. You know.
yeah, that's it's gonna damage any future purses because the more losses you get, it affects your marketability and it would affect your purses, affects your bargaining power.
I've said enough. Have you got anything else to add about Dylan White?
I just hope it happens. Maybe not. Probably. Oh yeah. Regarding that, have you heard that Fury might fight either Robert Helenius or Andy Ruiz next?
I've heard that.
What do you think? Wait, what do you think of those fights?
Most likely, Fury beats both of them. Ruiz, yeah, Ruiz is going to beat quite easily. You know, Ruiz is just, he doesn't. I don't think it's a good style for. It's going to be difficult for Ruiz to do something with Fury. So yeah, I don't. And Helenius, I don't really think they're not really competitive fights. I watch them. A fight's a fight. And obviously Arum, and obviously they're going to say that Fury's just, he's heavyweight champion of the world, and he's just had this trilogy with Wilder, so they're going to try and look for someone a bit less, They were okay fights. I'd rather see White, but it's just boxing. Obviously, you can't always. There's not always like a massive fight available. I think AJ and Usyk are tied up
I
for
was
now.
terrible. No, I'm not finished. Yeah, sorry about you saying.
Don't worry about it. I was saying, well, AJ and Usyk are tied up for now, so yeah, I think they're okay fights. But yeah, it'd be nice to see some unifications. It'd be nice to see the best fight, the best, really.
Okay.
I mean, what do you think of those fights? What do you think of Ruiz and Linus?
I just think the fact that under Reeves, hasn't looked impressive since he put AJ. Did you watch him fight Ariola? He struggled quite, badly against Ariola. Yeah, because he got
Yeah,
knocked down in that one of the rounds. So I just think I'm not impressed. I'd rather him fight maybe Daniel Dubois or Joyce even, or Hergovich, one of the upcoming prospects. But again, I guess they want an easy fight for Fury after that, that brutal fight, war Wilder. So I guess this is like a tune-up fight, just to help him prepare for White late in the year if they do fight.
yeah, it's just a tune-up fight. He's just coming off that tough trilogy, so yeah, well, it's just the problem with boxing. It's just a shit. It's so hard to make fights, whereas in other sports, like football, like people just take each other on all the time. When boxing, they talk about it. And personally, I don't see this is the last I'll say about it. I don't see Fury White happening next year. I doubt it.
So what would you think Fury will Kate or elevate to franchise champion or White will fight for vacant title against a Wild or a Joyce? What do you think will happen as far as UABC title goes?
I'm just guessing, but I'd say the likeliest situation, I'd say Fury's going to keep hold of his belts and he'll just fight someone like a Ruiz or Helenius. That's what he'll. But I don't think he's going to give up the belts, but he'll just fight someone like that, really.
After he beats the tune-up, it would be Helene or Ruiz. When we have to fight, once the arbitration gets sorted out regarding the purse splits, we have to fight White late in the year then. So what if that happened because White's mandatory? So especially once the purse has been sorted out, we have to fight. Unless White says, nah, that money's too low ball for me. I'm not gonna fight. I'm just gonna forget. I'm gonna try another route. Doesn't we have to fight White along? White sets the purse splits.
I think they're still trying to sort the arbitration out with White. And obviously unifications take time. Sorry, not take time. Unifications are more important. So I think Fury's going to try and go for the winner of Joshua Usyk, which is probably going to be Usyk.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see that fight happening. I think Usyk's not really. I don't think he's signed to Matchroom, so I can see Fury taking on Usyk.
Yeah,
But
that's a good point there. That's a good point. Yeah, if that could happen, if Usyk beats Joshua, which I think it will, then Fury will aim for Usyk undisputed for the belt. So that could be the outcome as well. Then why we'll have to wait till 2023 for a title shot. So yeah, I could see that happening.
it's up to him. But he's just going to get left behind. It's life, It's not nobody's bigger than boxing, so people are just going to move on without Dylan White. They're not going to wait for him. So it's up to him, though. I don't know who's giving him advice. I don't know. It's up to them. Maybe, it's up to them what they want to do.
As far as is it true regarding boxing in the UK? Like boxing is you can't box till is it February March time? The British Box Control are not allowed any boxing because of obviously COVID in January. Because I've heard like Frank's not going to do any shows till March and Eddie's not doing any shows till February.
Yeah, I saw a couple of sort of. Yeah, I saw something about that. So Warren said he's not doing any shows till March, and yeah, I don't think Eddie's doing any till February. But yeah, I think we're all just waiting to see what the government says. So the boards are just going to go along with what the government says. So yeah, it's just sad times, isn't it? the world's become complicated with this whole COVID madness, and we all just got to wait to see what the government says, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing is, in January, what's his name? Chris Eubank's fighting Liam Williams on 29th of January. So is that fight going to be moved then to a later date?
They haven't announced it, and they're still actually selling tickets for it. So we'll see, but yeah, probably get rescheduled, I guess.
And also you
And
got
then you
two fights in February as well. You got Karen Brook on the 19th in Manchester, and you got Josh Taylor versus Jack Catchwell on the 26th in Edinburgh.
Scotland, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, I said we're just gonna have to wait to see what the government says, but these fights will get postponed, or hopefully nothing happens. But if it does, then fights are just gonna get rescheduled. Obviously, nobody wants to lose money, so they'll just like what's happened with the Bacoli one in France. People just, promoters will just reschedule these shows.
Yeah. Potentially, they could still allow the boxing to happen, but what maybe they might do is maybe half the crowds, reduce the crowd limit from full capacity to maybe half of it. That potentially could have happened.
It's a shame. It's just, yeah, the world's just become complicated. I remember when, so I'm 31 now, so I remember what the world was like before COVID, but it's just, it's become
Yeah,
complicated
yeah.
now.
I said to my friend of mine, this COVID thing is going to be with at least probably maybe it take at least 3 to 5 years for us to understand it and control like we control the flu. So it could take a couple more years for us to understand it and control it. So there's always a chance of us being in and out of lockdown. We're gonna have to get used to wearing a mask, looking at ninjas everywhere we go now. So us wearing a mask is part of everyday lives.
I hope not. What fights do you want to see in boxing? What are you hoping for?
Well, the obvious one for me was Fury White. That's the fight I wanted. I was one of the fights that I was looking forward to. I hopefully I see Fury fight the winner of AJ and Usyk, so undisputed. Spence Crawford. That's another fight I don't think will happen. I don't think Spence Crawford will happen until they're both old men. I've got a
I
feeling.
think so.
Yeah, unless Spence maybe loses next fight, or I can't. I don't know. I don't know why. I just don't think Spence Crawford probably be another Karen Brook or another Pacquiao or Mayweather. They'll fight, but they'll be like past it when the fight will be in the primes.
I don't know. I mean, I actually think that fight can happen next year. So if I had to pick an answer, I'd say it depends on Crawford. If he's as long as he signs with PBC, I can see that fight happening next year.
If he doesn't sign with PBC, will it still happen?
No, no way.
Only on the condition he signs to PBC.
Yeah, but a lot of these people, they want to see. They like to keep it in house, don't they? They like to have full control over the promotion. So I don't know what these fighters. I don't know what advice they're getting, because if I was talking to Crawford, yeah, I tell you, if I was you, just sign with PBC, take the fight Spence. He should. I think he should beat Spence. He's more. I think he's got a higher ring IQ. I think he's quicker. He's got more skill.
Less miles on the clock.
Obviously,
Do you
yeah,
think
he's fair.
we're going to
Hmm?
spend? Do you reckon the car crash was the retina damage will affect his boxing going forward? Those two major
Yeah,
injuries.
probably yes.
That's
But
one reason why I
obviously,
think Crawford is definitely my favorite now to beat him because of those two
yeah,
injuries.
but I've always felt he was better than Spence.
Yeah, I do think Crawford is over, but originally I thought it'd be more. No, I don't think it'll be a good fight still, but I don't think it'll be as close as it was a couple of years ago prior to those injuries.
But this is what I'm trying to say. I'm not going to go into the whole Dylan White thing again, but it's like when you've got a choice, when you've got opportunities, like take them. But now you've missed out on that fight, and it's not going to be what it could have been before. But he's obviously Spencer's had the car crash. But if I was those two guys, if I was in their position, just call each other on the phone, just send them a DM, and just meet up and just just smash out a deal. It's not complicated. Just fight. Okay, look at Ali Foreman. Look at these these fights were getting made. I'll tell you a true story, and I'm not making this up. Have you heard of a guy called you remember Archie Moore?
Yes, he was a heavyweight back in the day, an old heavyweight from the 50s. Yeah, Archie Moore.
He boxed at heavyweight, but he boxed mostly at light heavyweight. Heavyweight, he actually got knocked out by a young Cassius Clay, who then became Muhammad Ali. Now, Archie Moore was trying to make a fight happen with Floyd Patterson. So Archie Moore actually went to Floyd Patterson's house. Archie Moore went with his wife. Him and his wife, he had dinner with Floyd Patterson and his wife. And these two guys just sat around, and obviously it's a shame. I don't think there's any footage, but they just spoke, had a conversation about it, and the fight never actually happened for whatever reason. But I just think that maybe it would be nice to see that in boxing. That's just a fight. Just meet up, talk about it, drop all the egos. And this is what I'm like. If someone wants to fight me, or if I want to fight you, if I see you, like, listen, we can just go. You can just come walk up to me. Yeah, boom, let's fight on the 10th of March. Shake hands, see you then. Why does it have to be with all these circus tactics? To me, you don't have to hold me back. If I see you outside a ring, I just don't, like, if you want to fight, we can get in the ring. But I don't, I'm not gonna say talk to my promoter, talk to this guy. If I want to fight you, I'll tell you. If I don't think I can beat you, like, would I fight someone like Anthony Yard? Hell no. Anthony Yard will knock me spark out. So I'll give you a straight answer. I'm not going to pretend like if I saw Anthony Yard, I'm not going to pretend I want to fight people like it. He's not someone of that level. I'd fight Jake Paul, but I wouldn't flip and fight Anthony Yard. So I'd like to see this from boxers. If you say you really want to fight, so just get on. But you get grown men going at each other, and he's all just fighting them. It's boring to watch. Is that something you'd like to? Is that something you'd like to see change?
Yeah, absolutely. Regarding that, do you think Eddie Hearn actually believes in Conor Benn? Because why do you think Eddie Hearn doesn't want to fight? Doesn't want Conor to fight David Avanesian?
I don't think he believes in him. I think Eddie Hearn's been around boxing for years. He knows boxing better than myself, obviously, and he knows what he's doing. He's around. He's seen people spar. He's seen people fight, and I think Conor Benn can give Avanesian problems. Josh Kelly gave Avanesian problems, but Josh Kelly ended up getting knocked out. And, the towel got chucked in, and I think Eddie Hearn probably thinks Conor Benn's going to lose.
Well, why did I guess it's for a quick way to get a world title. Why didn't Ben not fight fight for a British title or Central Area title, European title? Why didn't they fight like Chris Congo and Jenkins and Avanesian, as well as what's that? Is it McKinson? Is it Michael McKinson?
Yeah, Michael McKinson.
Why can't they fight any of these domestic rivals? Why is he going straight for I know obviously there's money involved and he wants to be a pay-per-view star, but why is he rushing him? Why does he just be patient, slow it down, his craft, start from the ground up?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, and just to mention that, I welcome anybody that wants to leave YouTube comments, because just because I'm in boxing, it doesn't. I'm not saying there might be people watching these videos that may know more than me. So, to the best of my knowledge, I'd say these are all dangerous fights. All these guys you've mentioned. Look, I think Conor Benn's good, and I think he's got ability. But listen, any of those guys can beat him. I think Avanesian beats him. I think Congo and some of these others, these are all potential upsets. So I think the way Matchroom are, they just try and go for the biggest fights they can go for. Because you can lose a fight at any given time. I mean, how many of us would have picked Andy Ruiz to knock out Joshua? At the time, I thought it was a silly fight. Yeah. I just said, look at the size.
Yeah, most of it was a mismatch. Yeah, but it turned out to be Tyson Douglas. One of those mixed match. We thought it was a mixed match. Turned out to be absolute miracle.
I thought it was a very silly fight. I said, well, how's Ruiz? He's taking the fight on short notice, and I was telling people, how's this short, fat little man? I know he's boxed Parker and whatnot, but I'm like, how's he going to get anywhere near Joshua? And he's not, Joshua's in camp. I said, look, by the time this is what I said to people. I don't lie. I felt by the time Ruiz gets anywhere near Joshua, it's already going to be 6-7 rounds in. By the time you get near Joshua, you're going to have to take a lot of shots, and by then you're going to be too tired. So I thought Joshua's going to knock him out, and I was wrong. So this is where Eddie Hearn sees it, and obviously Eddie Hearn knows more about boxing than me. Eddie, over the years, there's been how many upsets in boxing, whatever level. How many people would have thought Ali can beat Foreman? I wouldn't. How many people thought Buster Douglas can beat Mike Tyson? I wouldn't. And Conor Benn's not as good as these guys. He's not as good as Ali or Tyson. He's not as good as Joshua. So yeah, any of these guys can beat him. So that's my answer. They don't want to take unnecessary risks. They just want to make as much money as they can.
Was
what do you think?
Boring? Yeah, I think just the quickest route to world title. Low risk, high reward. Long Ben, Eddie's plans wants Ben to fight for world title, and if he has to, if he can duck Avenesian and fight easier opponents for bigger paydays, then why not? Because I think they're trying to get Ben to fight Broner next. Adrian Broner.
Yeah, that's the one they're going for. Broner's a more winnable fight. He doesn't train. He's got all kinds of personal problems going on, and he's not as good as he was at 135 pounds. He was much better then, but now it's like he doesn't let his hands go, does he?
He definitely doesn't live lifestyle anymore. He's fat as a pig. He's got a beard big massive beard, and it looks like a hobo now, a homeless man. It's just so he's not living life anymore.
Well, like you said it, I'm not trying to take personal shots, but he's not taking care of himself, is he? So it's like, what's a good example? It's like that fight recently. You saw what happened with the woman, Terry Harper versus Alicia Baumgardner.
Yeah.
I think Conor Benn's probably gonna stop Broner, because Broner's not acting. He's probably gonna get caught by one of these shots. He's not gonna be ready for it. And in my experience, I hope people don't think I'm trying to show off, but look, I've had fights this year. One of my fights, I think I was doing all right. I think I'm as good as the opponent, but the guy was much fitter than me. It's like the first round I was doing fine. My legs just started going dead. Like, it was hitting me with some good hard shots. I could take the shots, but physically I wasn't fit. So it's just like, my legs were just going stiff. So I think it's, from my experience as someone who's boxed, so I think what's going to happen to Broner, and obviously I won't box at the same level, but I just think Broner, his body's not going to have that same bounce. He's not going to have that explosiveness. And at some point in the fight, he's just going to start, his body's just going to start going dead on him. So, but Eddie Hearn knows more about boxing than me, so they're just picking Broner. So I
think Broner, fortunately, he's one of those fighters that he couldn't handle. He wanted to be Mayweather so badly. Once he lost to Medano, that was the end of him. He could never recover mentally.
What did you think of the Maidano fight?
Actually, I was actually on that Broner, hype train. I actually thought Broner would beat him fairly easily, but he proved me wrong. Madonna showed up. He put Broner's place, and the rest is history.
No, I actually that's a fight I actually got right. I thought Maidano would win because, but this is the thing about boxing. So let's just say Conor Benn versus Avenesian. Yeah, Conor Benn, he can beat Broner, but then a lot of fighters you can beat people. But then what happens when you have that guy who can test you, who can put it on you? And remember, you're getting punched in the head. Like, it's the most. But I've never tried MMA. I'm going to try it soon. But for me, boxing and MMA, two hardest sports there are, because you're getting punched, you're getting kicked, etc. And obviously, a lot of guys, when you're getting it put on you, I'm trying to think of who's a good example. It's like, some people can show the heart. Like Oscar De La Hoya, he showed that he had what it takes. But obviously not everyone can do that. So, I just think, yeah, I think Bono had decent ability back then. I thought Maidana would break it, and he did. And yeah, it's just never been the same since. Some people like Nassim Hamed, he retired after he had his first loss. He had one more fight, he won, but then he retired.
Yeah,
So
some
obviously,
fighters can't handle their own hype. Same with Ronda Rousey when she lost against Holly Holm, and she lost again against at the
Nunes.
end of her career. She went to wrestling WWE. Some fighters can't handle losses. They can't handle. Some fighters just can't come back from losses from failure. Some fighters can, some can't.
Some look, fighters are just, it's like anybody. I think we've all got strengths and weaknesses, and some fighters can be weak in that aspect. I think to me, anybody can fight. A blind man can fight, but what I mean is, if you're just punching someone, anybody can do that. But when someone's hitting you back, do you have the heart to take it? Do you have the heart to, and like Ronda, as you said, Ronda Rousey is the perfect example. She's taking people out 10 seconds, 30 seconds, but once it happened to her, like now you don't want to know. Like, where's the energy? Like, if it was me, it's like, I believe if I got knocked out, I say, you know what, give me a year, 2 years. Not even that. I say, you know what, give me another opportunity. But she decides she wants to go into WWE. So if that's her choice, then you can do what you want. But
Yeah,
yeah, that's
unfortunately,
why.
yeah. I think Thing is the world one of those fighters. Well, I think Deontay was one of those fighters that can't handle defeat. They can't handle a setback. Because Wilder's apparently Wilder's maybe retire. He might not fight. After those back-to-back losses against Fury. Because I think Wilder's still a force to be reckoned with. I think he can still beat AJ. He still could beat White. He can still put on a good fight against Dubois and Joyce. I think Wilder's still a good contender for the title. So it's hard for him to retire just because he lost against Fury twice. But unfortunately, he's one of those guys. He's not, he can't handle, defeat, and he believes that, he's hyped him too much.
Do you think he's going to come back, or do you think he's going to retire?
50-50. If he does a fight this year, then he's not gonna ever come back.
Yeah, I think he'll be back. I think he showed a lot of heart in the last Fury fight. And again, if I was to meet him, just try and tell him, just don't make excuses. Like, you lost, you lost. Just, I understand. There's a difference between reasons and excuses. So I understand sometimes things might happen, but if I was in his position, just accept the Fury loss. Like, you lost, just come back. There's still loads
And
of people
again,
you
he,
can
he
beat.
lost against the better man. He lost against, probably future Hall of Famer. It's not like he lost against a bum or journeyman. He lost against an elite, the best fight in your division. So there's no shame in losing to, the best fight in the division. If he lost to a journeyman, I understand all the excuse. If he lost to the best, one of the best fighters on the planet.
Yeah, but look, there's just so much pressure on these people. I mean, look, you're going to lose things in life. Pretty much all the great fighters have lost. If you want to talk about Mayweather, Kawasaki, and Marciano, yeah, but they lost fights as
But
amateurs.
yeah, and then anomalies, most fighters lose. Like Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Imad Hagler, Tommy Hearns, Jack Dempsey's, all the majority of all-time greats lost multiple times.
I don't understand this thing in boxing, because if you look at every single other sport, everyone loses at some point. Manchester United the other night, like that game, that recent one, Manchester, they drew 1-1, but they were lucky because they weren't playing very good. And, you got the so-called best player in the world, Ronaldo, but they've still had
Well, I think
shaky
the answer to
season.
that question, Michael, is down to one man, Mayweather. Mayweather changed the sport forever because Mayweather financial success and what was able to achieve in boxing. That changed the way boxers approach their careers going forward. That's why all these fighters want to be Mayweather, like Broner, and they wanted to keep that all costs.
Yeah, but look, someone needs to sort of turn it around. I think I'm the guy to do it and just explain. But it's just not realistic. It's not. First of all, Mayweather lost fights as an amateur, and then you say he says he was undefeated as a pro, but some of these fights you're lucky because the first the Jose Luis Castillo,
Yeah,
that fight could have been called a loss.
yeah,
What other fights? Maidana. I mean, these are just opinions. If you look at the guy that beat Campbell Hatton, but then they gave it to Hatton. It's not. So what I'm saying about Mayweather, just because they've given it to you on paper, it's not a big. I mean, you're not. Also, when he fought Shane Mosley, Mosley almost knocked him out. Like, obviously, you give him credit. Like Mayweather managed to hang. He did what he had to do. But if Mosley hit you with another one of those, or two more times, five more times, then you would have got knocked spark out. Like, you're not going to tell me if Mayweather got in the ring, Mayweather's a welterweight. If he took on prime Thomas Hearns would have knocked him out, no question about it. So it's not. You give him credit. Mayweather's gone his career undefeated on paper, at least, but it doesn't mean you can't be beaten. If you took on people like Hearns and Robinson, these guys would have beaten you. So it's not realistic. It's not. You're gonna lose. You're gonna make mistakes. It's not. But people put too much pressure on fighters. It's not. We all make mistakes in life. I can talk English, so I shouldn't have said that. I can speak English is the correct
yeah.
phrase. I can speak English extremely well. But obviously, sometimes I might make mistakes. I might mispronounce a word. Doesn't mean I can't speak
Absolutely,
English.
absolutely,
Just this
absolutely.
thing in boxing. It's not. It's just so much pressure on these people. And what about when fighters go into a ring injured? It's like, you know, man, I'll be going on and on. Then people need to change this about boxing. But then you can say the same thing about promoters. They make mistakes, but no one calls them out on it. How can you have someone like Callum Johnson and he hasn't boxed for 2 years? Or someone like Conor Ben? Well, it's like you're not building him properly. You're just trying to go for the big, you're trying to go for the easy fight boner, but you're not building him systematically. You're not going through the traditional Southern area
Uh,
British.
to this
You know what I
day,
mean?
I understand why Eddie thought that Booker could have been Golovkin. I had no idea because because that was a tragedy. If Brook didn't fight Golovkin, he'd probably still be champion right now in the welterweight. Because that's probably, in my opinion, that's probably other than AJ not fighting Wilder from Disputed, that's probably be Eddie's biggest, failure to how he managed, Kelbock's career, in my opinion.
Okay, but this is what I'm saying. I'm saying if I'm jumping in, but why don't you tell Eddie Hearn to retire? Because Book versus Golovkin is stupid. It's a stupid fight. Let me put it like this. And a lot of people watching this, tell me what you would do. If I was Kell Brook's promoter and, he was trying to fight Golovkin and this and that, I'd have openly said, I'm telling you not to do it. I'm going to go tell I would have literally, this is what I would have actually done. I would have gone and told his family, I would have said, for his own safety, I'm saying don't put him in there with Golovkin. If you want to do it, that's up to you. And also, I would have said this publicly. If anything happens, just don't blame me. That's what I think Eddie Hearn should have done. But, you went along with that fight. And what happened? He got his eye socket broke. When's the last time you heard of a fighter getting their eye socket smashed in? It puts it into context. Golovkin, he's just too big and strong for you. Like, I'm not saying Kell Brook's not a good fighter. He's a world-class fighter. But you're a welterweight. Golovkin's too strong for you.
Yeah,
So
Golovkin could have easily been a super middleweight, maybe even like heavyweight. It's very big. It's big for middleweight even. So, and Kelbert at best a small super welterweight at best. So a 154 fight at best. So it was a complete mismatch from the starts. And I guess unfortunately Brook, he was under pressure to make a money for his family. And Eddie was under pressure to find an appointment for Golovkin because Eubank pulled out. So unfortunately missed advice and just hungry for money, which cost him in the end.
no, but you've messed up the man's career, and it doesn't. I don't want to hear about the Eubank or that's life. But you don't mess a person's life up. Like, let's just say you, yeah. I've done a lot more interviews than you. I've been around longer. So I can give you advice, and I always tell you the truth. but I wouldn't tell you to do anything silly. So I'll tell you, if you're trying to do this YouTube thing, I say, yeah, do this, do that. You know, keep messaging fighters on social media. But I wouldn't tell you, and I'm not lying. I know where quite a lot of people in boxing live. Like, there's ways. Okay, I'll give you one example. I'm not lying. I once went round Kevin Mitchell's house. I got invited. Kevin Mitchell had like a meeting with this sort of marketing guy. The marketing guy said, "Do you want to come with me?" So I went round. I know where certain people in boxing live, but I'd never tell you to go to anybody's house uninvited. Like, that's just gonna, you know, it's gonna be. I'm not saying they're gonna punch you, but it's a very awkward situation. So I wouldn't give you any stupid advice. My advice is, if you wanna get contact with fighters, just keep messaging them on social media. Say, oh, here's my video. That's what you should do. So I don't think I'm going off point.
Would
But
you advise me speak my mind, or be PC like Hugan and Michelle and them lot? Because like I said, I don't want to be I don't want to be hateful, and all my words have been about, you know, oh, Eddie this or Frank this, and I don't want to like just like trying to like troll and complain and make allegations, like, you know certain channels, like, you know who you know, and I ask for, you know, fights against random people and not do anything about it. Like, you know, I want to be like positive. Well, I want to be positive, like yourself, inspirational, but also I want to speak my mind, when this, you know, speak the truth, like people have afraid to say about boxing or other things.
I'll give you a very quick answer to that. I'll give you a good answer. I think you can speak your mind so long as you're polite. And I'm not taking shots at Coogan or Michelle. I'm not like that. I think there's billions of people on planet Earth, and I'm not jealous of anyone. If I was going to be jealous, well, Coogan's got 700,000 subscribers. If I was going to be jealous, I'd be jealous of KSI. He's got 20 million subscribers.
Yeah.
What I'd say about Coogan and Michelle, from when I've met them, as people, they're too nervous. They're making it sound worse than it actually is. So if you're going up to fighters, so long as you're telling the truth and so long as you're being polite,
Respectful.
I don't see the problem. Yeah, so I'll give you the easiest example. So someone like Eddie Hearn, if you were going to say the stuff that I've said about Eddie Hearn in this video to his face, it's not a problem. So if you're going to say the stuff about Golovkin and Kell Brook, you messed up his career. To me, that's not a problem. So long as you're being polite, that's cool. In terms of certain channels or whatever, well, I guess you don't really want to mention them. If you're going to get personal with people, I can tell you, people in boxing, I know there's certain people in boxing for a fact, fighters and non-fighters, I bet my life on. I know people that have